Good morning, it's Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. This is your Canadian Prairie weather story. I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Lots to talk about here. We do have fires continuing to the north that are blowing smoke down across the prairie, spilling into parts of the U.S. at times, but we are beginning a stormy period. We talked about this last week, and we're finally seeing it come to fruition. We've got multiple chances for rainfall through the end of June, likely some corridors of above normal rainfall over the next 2 weeks as well. Now, as we just start off looking at the infrared satellite picture across all of North America, you can see a couple of things. The pattern's a bit disjointed right now. We've got kind of some meandering upper level lows that are all going to kind of move us into a new-ish pattern here for the last half of June. So we've seen a couple of things, and to start off with, one of the problems with this pattern has been these areas of low pressure that continue to run from the southern plains of the U.S. through the Ohio Valley, parts of what we call the Mid-South, this general region right here. And each time they do that, they stop the flow of moisture northward from the Gulf and kind of just keep the moisture locked in down here. And we've got another one of these meandering lows continuing to make its way up here on a several-day journey into portions of the Midwest. We've got another upper-level low here across portions of the Northeast, and then we've got a series of disturbances that are trying to make their way in from the Pacific Ocean. You can see some of these little subtle swirls. You see one right here. You got a patch of faster flow coming in across the North Pacific. And then we've got one of these first little disturbances that's lifting into the area right now. We've got some showers and a couple of thunderstorms ongoing across portions of the prairie, even a couple of hailstorms as you make your way farther south down toward kind of the Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Montana confluence there. We had a couple storms producing some 1-inch hail just south of the Alberta border there in Montana. These showers and thunderstorms continue to slowly lift northward and kind of regenerate. As we just take a look at temperatures right now, you can see they're forming right along a warm front. We've got temperatures anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees across southern portions of Alberta and southwestern Saskatchewan, but then you've got those single digits, temperatures around 4, 5, 6 degrees north of that warm front. So we're starting to bring in some warmer and more humid air to the prairie, and as we do that, we get what's called warm air advection, shower and thunderstorm activity. We're advecting this warmer and more humid air northward, and as we do that, it rises and we can generate shower and thunderstorm activity. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. You get this kind of east-west oriented band along that warm front where we get shower and thunderstorm activity. And this is the forecast radar loop over the next 3 days. So this is what you've got for the day today. Scattered showers and storms, generally most numerous across portions of Alberta into Saskatchewan. We'll see another round, very similar areas during the overnight into tomorrow morning. This is as you wake up on Thursday morning, an area of showers and storms from Calgary down into southern Alberta, down toward the Saskatchewan-Montana border. We'll see this stuff lift northward through the day on Thursday into Thursday night. This would be kind of sunset Thursday. This is midnight Thursday night, and then now this is Friday morning, and you're starting to see a bigger area of low pressure start to eject and enter the picture here on the left, and we'll see this run from west to east across the prairie as we head through portions of the weekend. So this is now Saturday morning. This would be Saturday afternoon, and then Saturday evening here. We've got showers and storms lifting into very, very similar areas here. Alberta and Saskatchewan going to be getting in on the most of the rain and thunderstorm activity in the near term, taking us through the beginning of the weekend. And you can see that here with the NAM total precipitation forecast through noon on Saturday, June 14th. You're seeing a lot of totals here getting into that 30-plus millimeter range across Alberta into southern portions of Saskatchewan. It's going to be a bit lighter as you make your way east. We're probably not going to get the heavier shower and storm activity all the way into portions of Manitoba until we get to late Saturday into Sunday and Monday. Multiple chances, though, as we roll through the next 2 weeks. This is not one storm system, and then we're done. We've got numerous chances here over the next 2 weeks to get additional rainfall on the area. This is the same time period taking us through midday Saturday from the European model. So this is the NAM model, the European model. Differences here in resolution and where some of the heavier pockets of precipitation are, but by and large, very similar look here, where places like Calgary, Peace River, Edmonton, down to Medicine Hat, and then over into southern Saskatchewan, you're likely going to get some corridors of rain here over the next couple of days. As you make your way further east into Saskatchewan, maybe a little bit more variable, a little bit more hit or miss in nature with heavier, more widespread precipitation across central and southern portions of Alberta. Now, as I take the European model and just run it out to the end, this is 15 days, so this would take us all the way into the 26th of June. Now you're seeing the entirety of the prairie with some opportunities for heavy rainfall. You're seeing a lot of red on this map, which is between 50 to 100 millimeters. That would be several inches of rainfall, but you also see the variable nature to this, where you've got some pockets of 100 millimeters, 141 millimeters, I can see there in east central Saskatchewan, but then you've got some lower totals here. You see those pockets of blue, where we're talking about more like 12 to 25, 12 to 30 millimeters over the next 15 days. That would be frustrating, and that may be the case for some of us here. I think a lot of people are going to see some badly needed rain, but there will be some localized pockets that, because of bad luck, just end up getting missed by, multiple of these chances of rain. So some folks are going to get hit, repeatedly, and those are going to be the people that get up to around 100 millimeters. Most of you are going to get hit a few times, and you're going to end up here between maybe 30 to 80 millimeters. And then there's going to be a couple of you that get missed out by most of these and end up, in the lower territory here, 10 to 30 millimeters of precipitation. But a lot of rain on the table over the next 2 weeks. And what I did here is, this is the morning run of the European model that I woke up to. This is the run. Oh, I thought I had both in here. I'm so sorry. I tried I thought that I put both the runs from the European model today and then the one from yesterday on there. So you could kind of flip back and forth. And what you would have seen was a lot of the same shaded here, shaded colors, orange and red, but kind of moving around just slightly as we kind of move through this forecast window. What I do have here is the European ensemble, the 15-day probability or precipitation anomaly. So the green and the blue shaded areas here are where you've got more than, above average precipitation forecast over the next 2 weeks. And you see a lot of green across the prairies down into the northern plains, the upper Midwest of the United States. You do find a little bit of brown shading there in southeastern portions of Manitoba, but this pattern, again, it's hard to predict with certainty because we're talking about thunderstorm clusters that by nature are tough to predict with certainty, and how much rain they're going to bring to you and your neighbor here. But when you've got the chance for, multiple rounds of thunderstorms, you get higher confidence that you're going to get some rain. I just have a hard time telling you who's going to get exactly how much, who will be the big winners. But if you go back to last week, this is the forecast evolution we were looking at. This on the left was the precipitation anomaly forecast from June 4th through the 11th, very dry across the region. But we knew that once we got to June 11th through the 18th, forecast models are really picking up on a much more active pattern across the Canadian Prairie, the northern plains, and the upper Midwest of the United States. And certainly now that is the forecast we're looking at over the next 2 weeks. So as we talk about this forecast over the next 2 weeks, all of that hinged on getting some of this deeper moisture northward from the Gulf. We'd had storm systems kind of running in across the prairie at times, but they were very moisture starved. You can see the map as we get started here, rather moisture starved. You see a lot of brown on the map there, except for portions of southern Alberta and southwestern Saskatchewan, where we're starting to get that warm front to lift north, and we're starting to get those warm air advection showers and storms. Now, as I hit play on this, you'll watch the feed of moisture here. It's much more consistent and reaching further north, and it's interacting with storm systems that come in from the west. So let me show you what I mean. You get kind of a feed of deeper moisture. You see what I mean? Initially, another one of these lows kind of tracking across the southern U.S., taking the deeper moisture along with it. You see the yellow and the red shaded colors there a little bit further south. But at any rate, we do drag some moisture further north, and then you get your first system. You see it come moving from left to right, west to east right here. You see the punch of drier air accompanying that area of low pressure as we run through the weekend. That's a storm system that would bring an organized area of showers and storms into the area. We replace that moisture. We bring some right back in. You get another storm system that runs from left to right, from west to east across the area. That would be kind of Monday through Wednesday of next week. And then we rebuild the moisture on the backside again. Here it comes early next week. We get another storm system that comes running in. This would be getting into the weekend. We got the moisture replaced. This is now Friday night into Saturday. Next week, June 20th through the 21st, you see another push of drier air with another area of low pressure moving from west to east. We're bringing the moisture right back Sunday, June 22nd. Look at that. You see another deep tongue of moisture lifting up into the prairie with another storm system that comes running in from west to east, bringing organized showers and storms. And even at the very end of the forecast run, we've got another feed of moisture coming north. So what I'm showing you is we're bringing the moisture into the prairie, and we're accompanying it with a series of storm systems. And that is, that's all you can ask for as you get to this time of year. Late June, rolling into July. Do we have moisture? Check. Do we have an active jet stream with storm systems coming through to give us regular opportunities for rain? Check. Now what we have to do is try to get to the next 3 weeks, get to the other side of this, and then hopefully we're looking at a last 30 days of precipitation map that shows broad precipitation across the area. You really hope we don't end up in an area where, or a scenario where, someone ends up with a ton of rain and then someone's, been left out by every system. This is just, we're at the beginning of this window of opportunity is what I would like to call it, for repeated rounds of showers and storms. So I kind of ruined the secret here, but I showed you the moisture, but now you want to see the jet stream continuing to bring, to put it simply, patches of very strong flow within the jet stream over the top of the prairie. That's how you generate storm systems. As that fast flow comes over the Rockies, we generate areas of low pressure on the east side of the Rockies. Those areas of low pressure pull the moisture northward. They interact there, they get some lift, and we generate showers and thunderstorms. So that is what the forecast here is showing you. The jet stream, we've got some activity coming in right now. We're kind of on the tail end of a jet streak, is what we would call that, a corridor of stronger flow. But what I really like to see is stuff like this. You get a trough in the Gulf of Alaska just off the coast of the Pacific Ocean. You get fast jet stream flow coming around the base of that trough. And when you get that kind of, you see this corridor of fast flow punching into the prairie, you're generating an area of low pressure right here that's going to give you a broad chance for showers and storms across a widespread area. This is what you want. This is, the textbook setup for heavy rainfall across the prairie during the summer months. And you see it kind of reload at times. Here comes another patch of fast jet stream flow around the 18th of June. This would generate another storm system across the area, interacting with the deep summertime moisture that we've got in place. And here you go, once again, another area of low pressure kind of moving in here with that fast flow punching into the prairie. Now, it's not going to happen exactly like this. These storm systems will take slightly different paths. And then, of course, we're looking at upper level jet stream flow. This doesn't tell me a lot about how many inches of rain is going to fall in Calgary or Edmonton. It just tells me we've got multiple chances for showers and storms. The last piece of this is instability, convective available potential energy. This is kind of just looking at the hot and muggy air in place. And as we get into kind of the weekend and early next week, we do finally start to bring in some of our first pushes of unstable air to the prairie for the summer storm season. So it is possible that as we get into probably especially June 15th through the 20th, don't be surprised if we're talking about some of the first organized severe thunderstorms across portions of the Canadian Prairie as well. Some of these unstable air masses certainly could fuel some hail, maybe some gusty winds, and perhaps even a tornado or two across the prairie at times. So everything coming together for a potentially stormy last 2 weeks of June. We'll tie this all together with the European model, the forecast precipitation over the next 2 weeks. And there's a lot of green on the map, which is what we want to see. Again, we've got showers ongoing, a couple thunderstorms across Alberta and Saskatchewan. That's going to continue to be the active area over the next couple of days. This would be, let me run it back here. This is your Wednesday, June 11th. This is Wednesday night. This is now Thursday, June 12th. This is Friday, the 13th. This is now Saturday, the 14th. Sunday, the 15th. You see it just regenerating over and over, especially across Alberta into southwestern Saskatchewan. Manitoba, you're a little bit drier, a little bit slower to get in on this. Let's roll it back here. This would be Monday, June 16th. We get another storm system rolling in during the early part of next week, and we're just continuing to kick off these showers and thunderstorms. Basically every day we get these scattered showers and storms across portions of the prairie. This is all the way to June 21st at this point. Here's an area of low pressure, lifting into the prairie. This would be June 22nd, June 23rd, and June 24th. So total precipitation, again, verbatim from the European model. Is this exactly how it's going to happen? No, but we're getting consistent runs here with a lot of red, a lot of people picking up, 30 to 60 millimeters of precipitation, and some pockets of higher precipitation likely, although there will be some, I don't want to call you losers, but some areas that get less precipitation than others as well. Here's where I put both runs in. I knew that I actually did this. So this is the run that I woke up to here, the forecast from the European model, verbatim, the next 15 days of precipitation. This is the run that I saw yesterday. Very similar, but you see the pockets of drier areas, they're kind of migrating. The pockets of wetter areas are kind of migrating, but in general, it's very clearly an active pattern running right across the prairie. So what we do is we look at the ensembles here. We can take a probability approach. What I'm showing you here is the European ensemble probability of picking up more than half an inch of rainfall over the next 10 days, so through June 21st. You got a lot of red on here. A lot of areas picking up 80 to 90% chance of getting that half an inch. As you make your way further to the east, portions of southern Manitoba, more like a maybe 50 to 60% chance. Still decent as far as, if we're going to say the driest part of the prairie only has a 50% chance of getting half an inch of rain. That's not the worst thing that we've looked at in the last half of June. Take it a step further, probability of picking up 1 inch or more over the next 10 days. And this is where you start to see, again, the areas I mentioned, Grand Prairie, Calgary, Peace River, pretty good chance of some soaking rains across really northern, west central, central portions of Alberta over the next 2 weeks. I think if anyone's going to get some heavy rainfall, it'll be those folks. And this is taking it a step even further. This is the probability of picking up 2 inches or more of total rainfall over the next 10 days. You got a 50% chance or better across, Calgary, Edmonton, up toward Grand Prairie. So maybe talking about some heavy rainfall across northern, western, central portions of Alberta. And then likely, scattered opportunities every few days across the rest of the prairie. But really, if anyone's going to get hit repeatedly with some heavy rainfall potential, Calgary, Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Peace River, you folks are going to be the ones to do that. Temperatures, even though we have the chance for showers and storms pretty much every day as we get through this forecast period, we'll see some warmth consistently building into the area as well. So a bit hotter, muggier, and stormier would be the outlook here. That's good news. We continue to see fire danger quite high, extreme across much of Alberta and Saskatchewan, starting to pull back across portions of Manitoba. We do have quite a few fires still ongoing off to the north. So as the sun comes up, you can see a lot of smoke across the prairie, and we continue to see that blown down into portions of the U.S. all the way down here to the Midwest. As I was actually running out to the grocery store just for a couple items that I'd forgotten earlier in the day, the sun was going down, but you could see the smoke and kind of some ripples in the smoke high up in the atmosphere in the sunset all the way down here in Illinois. I'm probably 2,000 miles or more away from the fires, and this is not a big thing that I want to address, but as we deal with the smoke, very thick across a lot of Canada and the U.S., at times it's been thick down here into the Midwest, and I see a lot of people on social media, a lot of people south of the 49th complaining about the smoke being blown in from Canada, and, why can't you guys do something about it? And I know a lot of it's lighthearted, but I just was thinking, as I was looking at the smoke in my sky last evening from these fires 2,000 miles away, if my neighbor's house was on fire, I wouldn't be mad at them for the smoke blocking out the sunset here. So I think it's a little bit short-sighted for us to be complaining about the smoke from our neighbors 2,000 miles away. It's a bit of a reminder of how connected we all are, even though you live in, across an imaginary political boundary 2,000 miles away from me. It's a reminder that our neighbors are on fire up to the north. And so we continue to see this smoke in our sky down here in the Midwest. I continue to think about everyone who's on the front lines here, whether it's residents who live near the fires or, firefighters who are out there actively trying to stop these things, which I know is going to be just difficult to really do until we get into the end of the summer fire season, into the winter. So we got the smoke down here in the Midwest. I apologize for some of the sarcastic remarks that might get floated on social media at times. I know it's a tough situation for people who are not just dealing with smoke high in their atmosphere, high in the sky, but actually dealing with the fires threatening their life and their property. So continuing to be a pretty rough fire season early on up there. Hopefully some of this rain can get far enough north to kind of mute things a little bit, but it's a fingers crossed situation at this point. I did mention temperatures a little bit more consistent. You can see that here, bouncing around between pretty much 20 to 23 degrees, barring a couple of different days here in Calgary, very similar in Edmonton. A couple days getting up to around 22 to 23, otherwise highs pretty close to 20 degrees. Regina, here's a look at your next 10 days, Saskatoon, and then over here in Winnipeg, a little hotter, a little bit drier the further east that you make your way across the prairie over the next 10 to 15 days.